Well, autoimmune disorders, there's a variety of them. You've got fibromyalgia, you've got other, they're finding chronic fatigue syndrome is probably an autoimmune, other things. The problem is because it's autoimmune and because your body is attacking itself, sometimes it's hard to diagnose. A lot of doctors just click it off to they have their general categories of illnesses, and it's hard to define an autoimmune disorder unless they're looking for it, because there are so many symptoms that can be in various things. So like my Hashimoto's can cover a lot of the pernicious anemia. It can also cover a lot of the IC syndromes and a lot of the symptoms cross over with so many of the disorders that it's hard to pinpoint, do you only have one, do you have more? And until symptoms come up, until the treatment for one doesn't work and you're still having things, then they go, oh, you've got this too. Oh, you've got this too. I think once you've got one basic autoimmune disorder, the likelihood of having others probably is more likely just because your body is attacking itself. And the likelihood of going further in life, it just keeps attacking things, and once it's attacked the right thing, it could actually cause another thing to go wrong. So for example, with the Hashimoto's, it's attacking my endocrine system, it's attacking my, my ability to do my metabolism and things like that, which actually could lead to either the pernicious anemia being worse, but since I had pernicious anemia since I was 3, the fact that I was already attacking myself, the blood cells, things like that, could be conditioned to work in helping trigger maybe the Hashimoto's, but that's a family trait too, so it's genetically I probably already was going to have it. It just triggered it maybe earlier than it would have, or it worked to help make it worse, whatever it was. They often work together to make the autoimmune they start attacking each other, and it just attacks the whole body in that way. As far as the IC, it's likely that my body attacking itself in so many other ways probably could have just started attacking the bladder at one point and just caused it to develop kind of like cancer. It starts on one place and once it starts spreading, it can start hitting lots of things. Lupus is another one of those types of autoimmune disorders where you have so many conditions. It's lupus because all those things equal lupus. But until then, you've just got all these separate things until they say you've hit that magic number of problems that, oh, we can diagnose it as this now. I know a lot of people who have interstitial cystitis also have fibromyalgia and other pain disorders and nerve disorders that go with that because it is attacking their nerves that way. So, but not necessarily all of them have the Hashimoto's or thyroid conditions. I think that's a genetic trait that I just happen to be lucky with and combine. But as far as autoimmune disorders go, it's one of those things that is hard to understand because your body isn't supposed to attack itself. Your body isn't supposed to do those things, but it does, and who knows why. I don't even know if there's any studies going on. Everyone's interested in treating symptoms and how to cure, and I don't think that a lot of people are actually looking at the commonalities and how many people, they look at just those individual diseases. I don't think they look at, okay, this person, we've got a lot of people that have several of these, what's the core problem? I don't think we have anyone doing studies like that. I don't think there's a lot of research into why those are the way they are and what's going on with those. It would be interesting to me. I do think it's been more recent years that, in the last 100 years, that we've seen a lot of these autoimmune conditions come out, whether it's just because we didn't know about them before, or whether it's the environmental things or whatever it is medically we've changed in the last 100 years that these conditions are now popping up. Some of them, they've always been around that we just maybe didn't know what they were and we were just treating symptoms. Hashimoto's, thyroid conditions, people always just said, oh, they're overweight or they're underweight, and they died early from a heart attack because we didn't know what it was. And it was causing heart problems with the metabolism issues until, we figured out that that's what's doing it. Anemia, people have always been tired, women have always fainted, they've always just used smelling salts. As far as other conditions like the IC or other things, it's hard to tell if it's an environmental, if there's things that have been going on. But I would love to see a study on that. I don't think we do know enough about autoimmune disorders because there's no money in it. There's the drug companies don't have any money invested, the doctors don't have any investment in it at all. But we are finding that there's more and more people having them, being diagnosed. It's not just a fewer things. I've got a couple of groups I'm a part of on Facebook, and there's hundreds of people across just the United States that are diagnosed and trying to come to terms with what's going on and how to deal with it and how to deal with day-to-day things. And the medical community doesn't know enough, and they aren't trying hard enough to understand these things. I think there's probably something genetic, because it does tend to run in families. The fact that you've got combined things. So my mom has the Hashimoto's, my dad probably has some other things. Maybe it's recessive, and I just happen to be the lucky one that, got all these different things, whether it's triggered by medicines or early things. When we're younger in life, we've got a lot of new environmental things we're putting in our bodies, and we've got a lot of things with, chemicals we put in and medicines we're taking that we don't know long-term effects and how it's really affecting. I do say autoimmune people are like chemo patients in that they do get a cold, and if they get sick, it can knock out their whole systems because their body's already attacking everything else. It's having a hard time fighting anything else that goes on. So when I get sick, it's not just a cold for a week and get better. It's 3 or 4 months recovery of getting better from that cold. So like my voice right now, I got sick the first day of school. I'm still getting over this cold, and flu season's starting to come around, and I'm like, great, don't breathe on me. And because your body can't fight it, and it's already trying hard enough just to function on its own. It gets interesting. But I would love to see some studies on it. Oh, it'd be so nice if some doctors took that on, or some research scientists, to just study what autoimmune is.